Quoth the Raven. This is episode 6, part 2 of Because It's a Tiller. I hope you got the reference. Look, I got a new hat. It says Captain. It's a picture of a sailboat. It says Raven. Present from my wife. It's a great hat. Love it. It's really comfortable. Looks good. Pre-bent brim. Not straight, but doing the camera is weird. All right. So where we left off in the last episode was with Home Depot's epic fail when we rented the table saw and the blade was backwards. Luckily, we found it before we tried to saw anything, and so we got that, and we also were able to get enough strips cut that we could do what my buddy Kris calls proof of concept, that we can get those oak strips bent to the shape we wanted. Now that we have the new table saw up and running, we were able to cut strips. Okay, so obviously we're speeding this up. We are not moving this fast. Working with this kind of equipment, you never want to work this fast. I just wanted to give you a sense of just how many boards that we're cutting. We needed about 1.5 inches and its 1/16 of an inch. That should have been 24 boards, but it seemed like we did it with considerably less. Probably our measurement was off and the saw wasn't as accurate as it could have been. That being said, we got enough boards, and we're going to move on to the glue up process. It's the best way to do it. I got a bunch more plastic. So I think the original is 1.5 inches. So we need 1.5 inches. Take them apart in epoxy.
And once epoxy time comes, we'll move the IR a little closer.
The what?
The IR heat,
Okay.
the radiant heat, so we can make sure we have.
Do we want to just put them all up and?
I don't see why not.
Well, we have to go about 1.5 inches. Right? If we should go more than 1.5 inches, right? So, I mean, this is probably about 4 inches, right?
Yeah,
okay, so, yeah, we definitely made it. Where can I get one? There we go. So we really, we're gonna need these.
Hey, spares ain't bad.
No, because we might break some of these along the way.
All right. If you want, we can save those big guys for down in here where it's going to be really strong. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I think we should, but I think we're just going to bend it slowly. Like these are not going to fit.
This thing's going to be bomb-proof.
If we can get it to bend.
Yeah. Into there.
So although I really like the idea of having a measured pump for the epoxy, here we're using Total Boat 5:1 slow hardening epoxy resin. The issue is that every time you use it, you have to reprime the pump, and every time you have to reprime the pump, you're wasting epoxy. So Total Boat on their website, on the Jamestown distributor website, gives you by weight. And so I have a little scale that's under the plastic, and we're measuring it out by weight. It figures 100 grams of epoxy to 18 grams of hardener, and that seemed to work really, really well. And I don't have to worry about priming the pump and wasting the epoxy. Epoxy is very expensive, as any of you who've worked with it know.
What's up, man?
So here we are. We're putting plastic tape down on the form, and with the hopes that the tiller won't stick to it, whatever epoxy drips through the laminates. Did it stick? Well, I think the plastic worked out pretty darn well, and you'll see later. In the background, by the way, is Kris's son Cooper, who is in his senior year at the Coast Guard Academy. Well, with the tape in place and the epoxy all mixed, it's time to start laminating up these boards. And I'm going to speed this up. So the wet epoxy did a wonderful job of lubricating each one of the laminates, or as Kris would call it, the whale snot effect. So before the big reveal, before we show you what this laminated tiller looked like coming out of the mold, I did want to update you on what my buddy Mike Coleman is doing. Mike is a wonderful musician, a master carpenter, poet, Renaissance man in the true sense of the word. So I went to Mike's shop yesterday, and we looked at his rough of a tiller he made of white oak, and the original one that was made out of white oak, and he just was over the moon with the grain of the original tiller. Probably wood that you couldn't get today because it was built 50 years ago, 60 years ago, and Mike roughed out a tiller, which you'll see in a second, which he was not happy with the grain, and so he's going to try again in Cyprus when he gets back from a few days off. So here's what Mike did, and let's finish up and see what we were able to come up with. So Kris called me the next day telling me that the epoxy was setting up nicely. We're now going to fast forward 1 week. All right, so you want to try this?
Yeah.
See what happens?
You guys pop it. I'll watch.
Here, film it.
What do we do? You just pop the clamps
off.
I feel like we should have a drum roll or like
I can put a drum roll on it.
scary music.
Some of these
Are they glued in place?
A little bit, yeah.
I thought we were trying to be careful.
I think good so far.
I haven't heard a pop
I
sound.
haven't heard a pop sound.
No, so the really sad one, Hunter, was when we were just putting it into the jig, and all of a sudden you started to hear the crush sound.
Oh.
Yeah,
Slowly.
it's in the video. I released the video yesterday.
Yeah, it's got that one too?
Yeah.
Did it do anything? I do have some big chisels we could put between the blocks if we need. Because it should come right off that tape. Or the tape should release off. Well, Hunter's got it.
You pop it right out.
No way.
Oh, incredible.